Have you ever been on a date and you make one mistake and all of a sudden you feel the moment, the opportunity just slipping away through your hands? Whether it's an awkward silence or maybe you said something or maybe you actually offended the girl, like whatever it is, you're thinking, I blew it. Like, does this sound familiar to you? If so, let me tell you something. In that moment, you didn't blow it. In fact, you just opened the doors for real attraction to be created because of your mistake. Your mistake, the tension you created, whatever that moment is, that's actually where attraction starts if you know how to handle it. You see, magnetic communicators aren't flawless. We're human. Everybody makes mistakes. But what they do is use their mistakes to create polarity. And that is where real feelings start to spark between man and woman. Mistakes become a form of magnetic masculinity when you know how to handle it. And today, I'm teaching you how to turn mistakes into moments of attraction. So if you want to turn mistakes into attraction and speak with a magnetic masculinity, this is what you need to write down. LAM, lamb. These 3 letters right here are the magic that turn your mistakes into attraction. And it stands for leadership, accountability, and momentum. This right here is how you turn mistakes into the very reason that she becomes attracted to you. I just want to show you how attraction works on a date. Here we have a y-axis. So this is her feelings towards you, the attraction and the emotions towards you. When you first get there, the attraction is fairly normal. It's neutral. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's just in the middle. But as the date goes on, it either goes in the upward direction or downward direction. And above is positive, things that build up attraction towards you. And below is the negative, mistakes bring you down here. Quickly tell me, if you never, ever made a mistake, how far above neutral do you think you could really go? This is where a lot of nice guys do dating wrong. The goal isn't to be positive, 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 positive. No one who is a real authentic human being is all positive. That wouldn't be a real person. People should have friction when they meet each other. There should be heads butting when they meet. The magic of intimacy is learning how to use that friction and build attraction on it. And I'm going to show you right here how to use this magic formula to turn your mistakes into you being a sexy, masculine communicator. I have 3 stories from my own dating life to tell you where I made mistakes, each way bigger than the last, and I turned all of those mistakes into moments of attraction using this formula right here. You ever feel that awkward silence creeping in the middle of a date, and it starts to get kind of weird, and you could feel it getting all weird, and you think in your head, oh man, she's losing interest. This is it. The conversation is drying out. If you've ever experienced that or have fear of an awkward silence happening, listen up to this story. So when I was 22 years old, I just kind of started figuring out the dating thing, and I managed to get a date with a girl from my hometown, a hot girl from my hometown that for years, I crushed on her, and I finally had an opportunity. So I picked her up, we went to the date, and about 30 minutes in, all's going well, it's flowing, we're both having a good time, there's good conversation. And we got talking about something deep, and when it was finished, it was like the vibe just started going downwards. A big awkward silence came, and I didn't know how to fill it. When you just choke up and you don't know what to think of say next? I'm curious, in that moment, what would you have done? What would you think is the right thing to do? Look away and just let the silence get bigger and bigger? Or maybe you'd overcompensate and just drag on a topic of conversation to avoid the silence and just drag something on that shouldn't continue to be spoken about. Doing either of those two, that's where most guys mess it up. And it does become weird because you acted inauthentic. What I did in that moment, I couldn't look away. I thought that would be weird to look away. So I just kind of looked at the girl and just stared at her with a little bit of a smirk, like a laugh on my face. It was really a nervous smirk on the inside. She then looked at me and said, "What?" with a confused look on her face. And then I just took a deep breath and said, nothing. I'm just I'm just having a good time with you. And then I just laughed it off. And as soon as I laughed it off, it was like the tension was unplugged. And then I just took a pivot in the conversation and said, so you're from Long Island, right? What was that like growing up? Like I just took a random pivot in the conversation. And I learned that day that smirking at a girl in silence and then kind of just saying something silly, that's a sexy thing to do. Like I didn't know in the moment this was something good to do. I was just nervous, and that was my reaction. Now let's look at what exactly happened in that moment. Her attraction towards me during that like potential awkward silence, it went down a little bit. Not a big deal, but if I chose to let it be weird, it would definitely just drag the energy down and she wouldn't be as into me. Not a big deal, but who wants that? Now through magnetic communication, I made that awkward silence into a moment of attraction. I want to just show you step by step what made it that way. So LAM, leadership. The first thing was kind of having that nervous smirk on my face and just being present. That was my form of leadership in the moment. And then when she asked, what's wrong? Like when she said, what? Just looking at me, the way I showed accountability was just having an honest laugh and reassuring her, I'm just having a good time right now. Like I took accountability of the silence. This is very trivial. This is a very small thing, but it was a dramatically different impact after I said this. And then how did I express momentum? Just pivoting to a new thread of conversation, not leaving it on her. Just having no problem saying, so I heard you're from this place. Tell me a little bit about it. Leadership, accountability, momentum. So listen, not only did I recover from the awkward silence, I discovered that day, this is a move. That silence between me and her and like the little smirk on my face, it put butterflies in her stomach and it definitely created some tension. But because I was able to lead and create momentum in an upward direction, it was good tension. That was my first day ever realizing holding silence is a sexy thing to do as long as you know how to do it. Story number 2, this is a higher level lesson. If you've ever accidentally offended a woman, listen up closely here. Have you ever said something to a woman without really thinking and you watch her whole face change and you think, oh shit, I think I just offended her. I think I just said something I shouldn't have said on this date. So a couple years back, I was on a solo trip to Texas and I managed to get a date with this girl who was from like the deep South. She was from a real plantation in Georgia. Like I'm from New York City. I never actually met someone from a place like this. And this girl had big blonde hair, big blue eyes, and you know this going on. And she was not my type by any means. I never go for blondes, but I'm in Texas. I'm on a solo trip. You know, just do it for the plot. Let's go out and let's see what happens. So the date was going well. There was good banter back and forth. And in the middle of the date, this girl was just talking about something and said the sentence, yeah, that's because Michelle Obama is a man. And listen, I'm not political at all, but being from New York City, just a different part of the country, I've never heard anyone say in my life before Michelle Obama was a man. I didn't even know that was like a thing people say. So I just laughed at her. I was like, what idiot told you that? I thought this was a very normal thing to say, but I saw her face scrunch up. It's like scrunch up, and I realized, oh my God, I just pissed this girl off. I just completely disrespected this girl, I think. And in that moment, I want you to listen to this. In that moment, I had a choice. I could double down on the statement I just said, or I could get curious. I could just be curious. Which one do you think is going to keep the date alive? I got curious. So what did I do? I quickly backed off and said, hey, listen, where I'm from, I've never even heard of something like this before. It sounds like you know something I don't know. Like when did you find this out? I'm just speaking in a curious tone of voice. I switched my heart judgment to curiosity, and she responded completely differently. Like before you know it, she's telling me some wacky fucking story about Michelle Obama being a man. And listen, sure, I have my thoughts and opinions. I'm on a random date across the country. I'm in this place for 48 hours. I'm not gonna be preachy and try to correct this girl. Like I just let her entertain me, and she did. Now, in that moment where I pissed this girl off, insulted her, I brought myself all the way down here. Like I offended her in that moment. But once again, by using the LAM method, I turned it around and raised the attraction between the two of us. Like, let me explain this to you in great detail. How did I express leadership? First, I noticed I offended her. I saw the scrunch in her face and said, "Oh shit, Rory, you did something you didn't intend to do." My accountability here was just admitting ignorance. I didn't say I'm an idiot. I didn't say she's right. I said, listen, we're born in different parts of the country. I guess this is normal. Like, this is my first time, leaving New York and going to other places. So this is a normal thing. People hear different things when they grow up. And how did I create momentum? I chose to get curious and have her explain it to me. And I could say, "Oh my God, like that's crazy." And she felt like she was expounding some knowledge upon me. We talked about it for like 2 minutes. Boom, next subject. A big part of being a masculine communicator is, can you control the vibe, control the momentum, where it goes? So a big takeaway there, when I let her explain herself to me, it made us more connected. She got to share her point of view. Everybody likes to do that. You should never shut people down. You should get curious about their perspective. And what I learned specifically on that day was you can't be curious and judgmental at the same time. They cannot coexist at the same time. So if you're ever in a position where you could be judgmental or curious, choose curiosity. Curiosity will always keep you connected if you ever fall off and feel like there's friction between you and a woman. Curiosity will always bail you out. Now, story number 3, this is for my more well-seasoned men with a lot of dating experience under their belt already. As you know, there are going to be moments where sometimes you make a mistake and it looks like there's no coming back from here. Like you blatantly disrespected this woman, whether it was intentional or not. You do something and it's like, ah, shit, the moment is ruined for us. If you've ever been there before, listen up. And if you've never experienced that before, but you want to know, how do I recover from that and turn it into a great moment? This is by far the most gangster story in this video. So tap in and listen up. So a few years ago, when I first moved to LA, I'm 26 years old, and I managed to get a date with a girl who was so far out of my league. She was absolutely gorgeous. She was a couple years older than me. She was a doctor. And she was like a social media influencer. She had a massive following, and it was the first person ever with like a blue check. And in that moment for me, this is a big deal. This is a high status girl. And also, fun fact, I later learned one of her ex-boyfriends were an A-list movie star. Like, I watched this guy's movies all the time. So this was like a crazy moment for me. So now it's the day of the date. We have a lunch planned with each other. And at this time, I don't have a car. So I have to rent one of those Lime scooters to take it to where I have to meet her. I completely messed up getting to the date. I showed up 20 minutes late. This girl, who was so far out of my league, I completely disrespected her and her time by showing up 20 minutes late to a lunch. Talk about the worst first impression ever. So I show up to the place and I see her sitting down at the table with a little bit of disgust on her face as well as embarrassment. I don't think a girl of this caliber has ever had a guy show up 20 minutes late in her entire life before. So what did I say? I think most guys would have walked up to the girl and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." It's not what I did. See, sorry is weak. If I would have said sorry, I would have been like a little boy and she's in charge. Please accept my apology. That's not leadership. I am the masculine energy here. So it was on me to lead the situation. So before I even sat down at the table, I stood right in front of her. I said, "Hey, I just want you to know, I do not think this is okay at all. I'm new to the area. I fucked up getting here, and I apologize for that. I do not think that's okay. I think it was very disrespectful. But I'm here now, and I'd love to have a great lunch with you, if you'll still have me." By the time I finished talking, she had nothing else to say. She had nothing else to add on. I covered it all, frankly, in like the sexiest, most masculine way possible. All she said was, "All right, we'll take a seat." The two of us had an amazing lunch together. We ended up spending the entire afternoon and early evening together. And at the end of the night, she asked to come back to my place, and she did. But point being, the vibes were so good. all day long after doing maybe the most disrespectful thing I could have possibly done. So how did I take the most negative situation I could have possibly put myself in and turned it into a magical masculine moment of attraction? In Lamb, we trust. Let's break this down step by step. When I walked in, how was I a leader here? I owned it right away. I didn't wait for her to say she's mad at me or upset with me. I owned it right away. She didn't have to tell me how bad it was, what I just did. Then I showed accountability. I fully recognized this is a big deal. I acknowledged it was disrespectful and just apologized directly. Apologizing is different than just, I'm sorry. When you're accountable and take leadership of it, it lands much differently. And then how did I create momentum? I just pivoted back into a good vibe. I said, listen, if you're ready to have a good time, I'm ready to have a good time with you. And she said, okay, take a seat. And then immediately started some good conversation, and it was a beautiful time together. I learned in that moment, that move that I did completely changed the way that she saw me, and it built more attraction than if I had just been perfectly on time and didn't even have that moment. Now, I want to recap for you just 3 big lessons, 3 big takeaways I hope you take home with you after watching this video. When it comes to an awkward silence, if you can hold the tension and understand how to hold the tension and make it fun, this builds attraction than if there was no awkward silence at all. You are more attractive now because of the way you handled tension. Number 2, if you offended her, get curious. Drop the judgment and choose curiosity. Curiosity will always keep the connection alive. So don't judge, explore. Number 3, if you have a big screw up, the sexiest thing you could do is own it before she even gets a chance to react, and then you choose how to set the tone after you own it. Masculine accountability diffuses even the biggest mistakes. So own the moment before she has to do it herself. Being a masculine magnetic communicator does not mean you are perfect. It means you know how to lead through the imperfection, and that is what makes you unforgettable. If you want me to help you get this down for yourself, how to lead through mistakes like a G, click the link below. Let's make you magnetic. If you are ready to master this for yourself and learn how to lead through tension, friction, mistakes, and make it sexy, click the link below to learn more about becoming a magnetic man. That is all for today. Good luck to you.